Hello Class 1D, my name's Lou Treleaven and I hear you've been reading my book, Letter to Pluto, and I'm so glad you've enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun writing it as well. So I hear you've got some questions for me, so let's have a look. I've got them printed out here. Before I answer them, I'm going to put my special alien hat on. There we go. I'm all ready to answer questions about aliens and about writing, about books. So let's see what the first one is. How did you get the idea for Letter to Pluto? Well, that's a very interesting one because I don't actually remember having the idea. All I remember is going and looking in an old notebook and seeing the beginnings of a story that I'd written a long time ago. And I read through the story and I was really enjoying it, having a bit of a laugh, and then I turned over the page and the story had stopped and I realised that I'd given up writing it. I really wanted to find out what happened, and the only way to find out what happened was to carry on writing, so that's what I did. So I can't remember where the idea came from, but I remember finding it and carrying on with it. How long did it take you to write the book? Well, as you can see, I started it many years ago, then I found it again. That was many years ago as well. Carried on writing it, and then I carried on working on it on and off for a lot more years, so probably quite a long time. But if you added up all those little bits of time together, maybe it might come to a year. Who is your favourite character in the book? This is a difficult one. Well, obviously I really like John and Straxy, and I love their friendship. I also like the side characters like Strax's parents who are running the cafe, and Bridge that you don't hear a lot from. And I've got a soft spot for Mrs Hall because she does get tested by John a lot, and I think she always tries her best. So it's very hard to choose. Which is your favourite chapter? Well, I sort of really like the bit where they're trying to save Pluto, and John's talking about how he took the letter to the postbox and it got carried off by somebody in a helicopter, and that all got very exciting. So I really enjoyed writing that section, and then you feel like it's all zooming to an exciting finish. How did you get the ideas for the Pluto animal names? Well, I just tried to think about what the animals were, and then tried to think up a name that I thought would suit them. And I always think Z sounds like an alien letter, so having an animal called a Zork sounds a bit alien-like, and a Pim Pam sounds soft and squidgy. Where did you come up with the idea for the squitches? Again, I don't really remember because it was started so long ago, but I've always liked collecting feathers, and my sister and I had peacock feathers when we were young, which I always loved, and I love the idea of a giant bird that could leave these huge feathers around. And giant birds are amazing and weird. And it's strange that there are little tiny ones like that, and then there's huge ones like that. So I do find them fascinating. Or who drew the pictures in the book? It was me. I got to be the illustrator for this, which was very exciting. I don't often get to be the illustrator for my books, but because in these ones the pictures are little doodles and things, they like the idea that it could be just hand drawn. And it didn't have to be drawn that well, really. It just had to be drawn in the style of the character. So that was really fun. Did you ever want to be an astronaut? Well, no. I love the idea of astronauts and space, but I'm not nearly brave enough to be an astronaut. I don't like small spaces. I don't like heights. I don't like big fairground or funfair rides. I wouldn't like going up in a rocket. So I would be the world's worst astronaut, but that doesn't mean I can't be interested in what astronauts do, and I think they're very brave. Did you want to go to Pluto? again, I'd find it a bit difficult myself, but I love the idea. And when recently they sent a craft to do a flyby around Pluto, well, I say recently, it took them many years to get here, that was very exciting, and I followed what was happening there to see the pictures they were taking, so it was very fascinating. Did you have a pen pal when you were at school? I did. I had a pen pal who lived in the United States of America. We wrote to each other, and the reason we did was that our mums were pen pals and they wrote to each other, so we sort of passed it down. So that was a lot of fun, and eventually we met and visited each other, which was a lot of fun as well. Now it's halfway through the question, so I'm going to change my alien eyes into alien dooley boppers. There we go. Can you see them? The stars. Right. Where do you get your ideas from? I think ideas are all around us, and we just have to listen hard and look hard. They can come from dreams, from silly conversations with your friends, from reading other books, from other imaginative things like music, film, television. Ideas can come from anywhere, and I think you just have to look for them and catch them when you can, and then develop them into your own ideas. It's an amazing and magical process. Is writing hard? It is quite hard, but it's the sort of hard that's very fun, like if you're playing a game of football and you get very worn out but you don't want to stop. So it's that sort of hard. If you're doing it as a career, so as your job, you do have to work very hard at it. And whereas if you're doing it for a hobby, you can relax a bit in between, but it's still a lot of fun. Do you have to do a lot of editing? How many times do you have to edit your work? I have to do loads of editing. Sometimes because my publisher asks me to, sometimes because I do before I give it to my publisher. So there's editing all the way through the process. And every time I edit my work, it gets a little bit better, and sometimes a lot better. And that's why I really enjoy editing. It's a really great part of the writing process. Why did you start to write books? Well, because I love stories and love reading, and I wanted to be even more part of that magical world where things just come off the page just from a few words. You can get all sorts of magical worlds and adventures and exciting things. And I wanted to see if I could do that, so I started having a go. What was the first book you wrote? I used to write little books of adventures about 3 children, and they were called 3 in a Bunch, and they used to go off and do things. So I think my first book was called 3 in a Bunch. I could feel my dooley boppers waving around as I speak. Have you written any other books? Well, yes, I have. I've actually written 16 books that I've published, and then I think I've got 4 or 5 more on the go that'll be coming out either next year or the year after. So very exciting. What is your favourite book that you have read? Well, I really, really love the Harry Potter books, and I've read them many times, so I suppose they're probably amongst my favourite books. And I'm just listening to them as audiobooks at the moment as well. So there's lots of different ways you can enjoy books. What book do you hate? Oh, I'd hate to hate any book, but I don't like books that disappoint me with a story, and I've started reading them and they just don't go anywhere, or they don't make me feel really excited to be reading them. That can be disappointing, but then I'll just put them aside and find a new book. There's always a book to suit the reader, so it's just a matter of finding it. Where do you live? Well, if you look down to the floor and then imagine going right down into the earth, keep going through the earth's core, quite hot, carry on going the other side and pop out. I live down there in a little country called England, so quite a long way away. Do you like being an author? I love being an author. It's so much fun. I've always wanted to be one, and now I am, so I'm very, very lucky. Do you travel around the world? Well, sometimes. So I have been to visit my sister, Mrs Driscoll, in Australia a few times, and I'm sure I will again. And I like going to different countries on holiday. Do you teach children? Well, I do visits to schools and do workshops with children, so I sometimes do teach children in that way. And we talk about writing and reading, and we have lots of fun. So that's good. And it's been a lot of fun talking to you today. So I hope I've managed to answer your questions all right. I'll now take off my dooley boppers and bid you goodbye. Happy reading and enjoy the rest of your term. Bye.